How many of you have your own company financials in front of you this morning? Any of you? A couple. Very good. So I suggested that last week, if it's possible, just so as we're walking through these financial statements, you're not only looking at my examples, but you're looking at your own financials at the same time. So I think that's a good idea. And I hope that each of you had a chance to finish reading your reading assignment for today, Financial Intelligence. Much of what we're going to talk about today is going to come directly from this book, so it'll reinforce what you read. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint. We'll get started here.
I was taking the trash out this morning, and my neighbor was asking me what I do, and I mentioned the business, and I could tell that he had a business, and I told him I was in this class, and he told me that I explained I was a one or a two, and I told him I was reading this book, and he said that this exact thing they talk about happened to him. He said 30 years ago, he discovered something on a financial statement that his business didn't see. He got a $30,000 raise. Other guy got laid off, and he said he was a D accountant student. I had no idea. He said after that, it started coming to him, and that's what he does now. He reads financials.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So in open and fair disclosure, I am not an accountant. I'm not a financial expert. Like most of you, I learned my accounting on the job as a small business owner. I barely passed accounting and finance in school. It was my least favorite subject of all. And then after I'd been in business for a couple of years, I decided that I want to do some teaching. So I went to the local community college in Miami and said, hey, do you need anyone to teach some business classes? And they said, sure. How would you like to teach accounting? And I said, oh, no. I said, no, that probably wouldn't work out very well. And they said, well, it's the only thing we've got. So I said, okay. And I remembered someone telling me, the best way to learn something is to teach it. So I figured, well, if I'm ever going to learn accounting, maybe I should teach it. So I started teaching accounting, did that for 4 or 5 years. And that certainly helped me as a business owner better understand everything that we're going to be talking about today. So let's see. So I always like to start off with this quote, with this module. This comes from a Ernest Hemingway book. Two of his characters are having a conversation, two friends having a conversation. One friend says, so, how did you go bankrupt? And his friend hears the question, thinks for a moment, and responds very slowly, and then all of a sudden. How did you go bankrupt? Very slowly, and then all of a sudden. I've worked with a number of businesses, and some of them have found themselves in financial difficulties. Some of them, I'm sure, have gone bankrupt at some point. And when I've asked them that question, so how did this happen? How did things go badly? The answer that I usually get is something very similar to what Hemingway wrote about. Very slowly, and then all of a sudden, sales seemed to be okay. We were acquiring new customers, hiring new people. Our cash began to erode. We had less and less cash in our checking account. And then all of a sudden, we ran out of cash. And for any small business that runs out of cash, that's game over. That's when we close the doors, because we can't operate without cash. How did you go bankrupt? Very slowly, and then all of a sudden. So that's what I think, again, why what we're talking about today is so important. There was a study that was done recently about the financial literacy of small business owners. And what they found is about 40% of small business owners identify themselves as financially literate. Financially literate would probably be like a 4 or 5 on a scale of 1 to 10 or higher. 81% of those business owners handle their own finances themselves. They don't have an accountant or anyone that helps them. 66, 2/3 said they wish they knew more about finance. And 28% of those businesses are carrying some amount of debt on their balance sheet. So let's start off with, in your handout, you've got this, it says, what are the most important financial goals? So as a business owner, as an operator, as you're looking at your financial reports, it's important to keep in mind that there are two very important financial goals for any business, big or small. And the first of those is profitability. Profitability. Are we generating a sufficient return on investment? We're spending all this time, we're spending all this money on this business. Are we getting a return back on our time and effort? Are we generating enough profit? That's the first financial goal. And we'll look at a variety of different ways that we can determine the profitability of a company later on this morning. And then the second very important financial goal is solvency. Solvency. Do we have enough cash? I keep this prop. This is a roll of dollar bills, supposedly. It's a plastic prop, but I keep this on my desk to remind me how important cash is to every single business. Because again, without cash, we can't operate. So the second very important financial goal is solvency. Solvency is essentially, do we have enough cash? Can we get our hands on cash, as much cash as we need very quickly? So as you're looking at your financial statements at the highest level, you want to be able to answer these two questions. Are we profitable enough? And do we have enough cash? Two very important questions.